Okay, now we're going to be looking at a song called Devil's Day, which is actually a song on an album that I've got coming out called In the Wake of Chaos. We're just going to be looking at the rhythm section first, and then we're going to look at the solo over the top of the rhythm section. So I'm just going to play to the backing track, go through the rhythm, and then break it down afterwards so you can see what we're going to be soloing over. For this rhythm track, the E string is dropped down to D, which is technically known as drop D tuning. If you want to figure out how to get that tuning, then your fourth string down is also a D, so you can just tune the E until it sounds the same, you know. So. And then if you just hold a D chord and play the whole guitar, it should sound like a D, basically. So I'm just going to play through the rhythm track now, and then we'll break it down. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the rhythm that I just played. The beginning of the rhythm track starts with a descending run, which is played by the solo guitar, which we'll get to later. But the first chord that's held is a B flat 9 chord. Because we're in drop D, we're literally just going to bar the first two strings on the 8th fret. So your first finger's just going to bar the bottom E string and the E string together, and then your little finger's going to play fret 10 on the D string, and you're just going to play the bottom 3 strings and just hold them, so it'll just be. I'll play that again. I'll just move these 2 fingers out of the way so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, now we've played the intro to the solo with the B flat chord held leading into the main part of the solo. We're going to look at the rhythm behind that. I'm just going to explain quickly what my right hand's going to be doing. The picking is mainly just going to be down, up, down, then there'll be a gap, down, up, down, gap, down, up, down, gap, down, up, down, gap. And then the bit at the end is slightly different. So I'll play it for you slow so you can see what I mean. Also with this part of the rhythm, we're going to be looking at using the palm to mute off the back of the string so it deadens it slightly, so it makes it a bit more percussive. So let me just play it for you so you can just have a look at the right hand and see what's going on with that. Okay, that last bit I'll just play again. So we're going to play the down, up, down picking part 4 times and then that last bit. So I'll just play it again for you slow so you can get that. And then that same rhythm is applied to the next chord, which is going to be F. Okay, that last bit I'll just play for you again. So you're going to be a downstroke on the F and then hammer onto the G. And then between those, there'll be like a down up. So let me just play that again. To help with the percussive part of the down up bit in between the two chords, it helps like with your left hand if you're just gonna rest your fingers on the string. So when you pick, it's not actually playing a chord. It's just dead. So when you play the chord, if you just kind of take the pressure off the chord and just rest your fingers on the fretboard, then when you're picking, it'll actually go from playing a chord to actually just being more percussive. So it'll just be... Okay, and that's the effect that you want to have on the end. And that basically concludes the dumbed down part of the riff, which the chords are the same when it actually picks up. So when you go... So you're playing it a bit heavier and you're still playing the same rhythm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play to an 80 BPM click, and once I've done that, then I'll play to the 100 BPM click, so you can hear how the rhythm sounds against the 4/4 rhythm. Okay, on the last part of that first rhythm section, there is actually a dead stop between the turn down part and the bit where the volume pot goes up and you really hit the chords. So that last bit will just be... So then there'll just be like a dead stop. Each time round that chord progression, it'll just go 4 times round, literally what I just played to the 80 BPM click. And then it'll go into the heavier part. I'm just going to play that first part again for you, but a little bit quicker at 100 BPM, which is nearer to the actual rhythm of the track. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, the rhythm part to the second part of this solo section is just going to be the same thing what we've done before, but just a little more open and just heavier, basically. So we're going from... to the same picking pattern, the same set of chords, just hit a little harder. So we're going to be going... Okay, with this kind of playing, it's a little harder to control when you've got the volume pot all the way up and you've got a little bit more distortion. Just requires a little bit more control. So although to make it a bit more open sounding, you need to lift your palm slightly more off the back of the strings when you're playing, and when you're doing the percussive bits in between, just to kind of make sure that the palm is back on the string. So you're literally just doing that the whole time lifting your hand up and putting it down again. So I'll just So when I'm playing the open chords, my palm's actually off the back of the guitar, and then it's in between just to make it sound more like it's just been chopped and cut up. My palm's just back on the bridge. So let me just play this heavier part to both click tracks. So I'm going to start on with 80 BPM and just play through this section so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, as you'll notice, the end of that second section, there's also a dead stop, which will lead into the main chorus of the track. So it happens, there's a dead stop on the end of the quieter part, and then there's a dead stop again on the end of the heavier part. So let me just play that last section again for you, just so you can hear that. Also, what I would like to mention also with the palm muting, with lifting your hand up and then putting it back on the strings again, equally important, if not more so, is actually taking the pressure off the chord and using your fingers to kind of mute off the strings so you can get even more of a percussive sound. So actually applying that to the rhythm of the track. So, I mean, if you kind of time it right, your hand will pretty much come onto the neck at the same time as your palm goes down on the string. So you're kind of muting the strings at both ends, just to get it a lot tighter sounding. So it's just going to do that at the end of the second section. So now I'm just going to play that whole section again, but this time notching up the metronome to 100 BPM, which is again near enough the same tempo as the track. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, during that last section that I just played, if you notice, actually, when your hands come down onto the fretboard, when you've got a little bit more distortion, you can actually get quite a cool effect with including artificial harmonics. So you've got them on the 6th, 5th, and 4th fret, depending on which finger lands on what harmonic. It can work equally as well. So if you're not playing a chord and you're just sort of like strumming. This is quite common actually for a lot of bands to sort of do that kind of technique where they'll play like stabs of chords or whatever, and then there'll be like a harmonic like in the middle, just to kind of give the impression, I suppose, that the guitar's sort of feeding back, so it's a little more trashy. So I'll just play like an example using those harmonics so you can just see the kind of effect it's going to have. Okay, in this next section we're going to take a look at the solo. We've already done the rhythm section, so now this is going to be the solo that goes over that section. So I'm just going to do a playthrough again with the backing track, and then we'll break the solo down into sections. For the solo, actually, I'd just like to say that I've tuned the E string back up to its original pitch. I did that when I recorded the song, but live, I kind of just have to avoid the bottom string, obviously, because it's tuned differently. But for the purposes of demonstration for this DVD, I've tuned it back up to normal pitch. So I'm just going to play through the solo now for you, so you can see how it sounds. Okay, the first part of this solo starts on the held B flat chord, if you remember from the rhythm that we just did. I'll play through the first part of the solo at normal speed and then play it through slow, and then we'll break it down. Let me play that once more. Okay, right, this first part of the solo is not really as difficult as it looks. It's just kind of getting used to the coordination. I mean, once you get like the first pattern down, you're just literally repeating it across all the strings. Now, left-hand positioning is actually, if any of you lot are familiar with the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, my left hand is actually playing the 5th position of D minor pentatonic, and my right hand tapping finger is going to be tapping fret 17 on all of the strings on the way down. What I'm doing is I'm just sort of like going back on myself each time. So the first part of the lick is just going to start with a tap on 17th fret, pull off to 10, then pull off to 8, then move to the B string, tap 7th fret, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then tap 17 on the G, pull off to 10, then pull off to 7, and you repeat that twice. So this should sound like this. Then after that, you just go back to the B string, you tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go to the G string, tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go to the D string, tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go back on yourself to the G string, tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 7, tap 17 on the D string, pull off to 10, pull off to 7, then go to the A string, then tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go back on yourself. This pattern's slightly different, so you're going to tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 7, then tap 17 on the A, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, and then repeat that on the A string again. So tap 17 again, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go to the low E string, tap 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8. Then you just tap 17 on the D string on the 10th fret, and then you just slide your third finger from 10 to 12. So let me just play that whole section again for you slow so you can hear it from start to finish. Let me play that once more. Okay, for the next part of the solo, we've actually now entered the main part of the rhythm section. So we'll be turning the volume pot down, and we're going to play a few licks in first position D minor pentatonic. Some of the notes kind of range in the second position and the fifth position, but you're mainly staying around that first position D pentatonic. So the first lick that I want to break down from this next section, I'll just play for you now. Okay, so now we're starting on the 12th fret on the D string with a third finger, and then we're going to play the 10th fret, 12th fret and the 14th fret, and the next three notes on the G string. When you get to the 10th fret on the G, you kind of you bend it up slightly and then stop it. So let me just play it, and then you can hear what that sounds. So. And then the two notes that follow are the 12th fret, the 14th fret on the G, and then a hammer on from 10 to 12, also on the G. So let me just play that phrase for you again. Also the timing of that as well. All of those are fairly even, and then you've just got a quick hammer on from 12. So it's quite a sort of nice kind of blues lick, really, in any sort of given situation. So you could use it over anything. But it's just quite nice because it's sort of building a little bit of tension, because this bit is a softer part of the song, so it's kind of trying to create nice kind of phrasing ideas and stuff, and doing things like bending notes and cutting them off when they get to the top rather than letting them down again. Also, those three notes or four notes on their own are quite sort of staccato sounding, so you kind of dig in the pick in a little bit to get that kind of sort of stressed sound. So, and then you've just got a normal picked note on the 10th fret, and then hammer on to the 12th fret, and then just hold that note. Right, the next part of that lick is going to start on the 10th fret, and then you're going to move down to the 9th fret on the G string, and then you're going to sort of like wobble the 9th fret, so it kind of moves into fret 10 sounding territory. So you're going to go, so it's almost like going, but it just sounds nicer and a lot smoother when you're doing it as a bend as opposed to hammer on and pull off. So then the next part is just going to be a slide from the 10th fret to the 12th fret. Then you're going to play 10 with your first finger, 9 with your first finger, and then play 10 and then pull off to 9, and then end on the 12. So all that lick is basically on the G string, and then the last note is the 12th fret on the D string. So the whole lick should sound like this. So now if I go back to the actual beginning of that the start of the lick. I'll play both examples back to back so you can hear how it's building up so far. Okay, the next part of the lick is going to start from the 9th fret on the G, and you're going to slide with your first finger up to the 10th fret, then slide back down to 9, then slide from 7 up to 9, and then slide all the way down to the 2nd fret, all staying on the G. So let me just play that for you again. So most of that sort of sliding, you can pick the first and third note of that lick, and then the rest is just sliding with your first finger. Okay, right, so now after we've done that, we're going to go back up to the 10th fret and take our third finger and slide from 10 to 12 on the G string. So you're going to slide from 10 to 12, pull off to 10, and then you're just going to pull down to 9 from 10, and then you're going to play 10 with your second finger, and then 13 on the B string with your little finger. So let me just play those two licks back to back so you can hear how that sounds. Okay, this next part of the solo is fairly improvised. It's just a slow tapping section. The thing that kind of makes this section, I suppose, is the sort of sparse use of the wah pedal. So just kind of gradually pushing it forward and then gradually letting it back again. So I mean, we're gonna start this section off with the same tapping technique as what we used to introduce this solo into the song. So we're going to be back at fret 17, pulling off to 10, pulling off to 8, then moving to B, 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then 17, pull off to 10, pull off to 7. So we're going to be working around that kind of idea. Also, your tapping hand never moves, so you're going to be staying on fret 17 the whole time, so that should help with this technique. The only thing you're really doing is moving your left hand. So let me just, for example, play just an improvised sort of section for you, just so you can see what kinds of things I'll be doing, and then I'll just explain a few more examples from this section, just so you can get the idea of what's going on. Okay, what I just did there was kind of just doing like improvised sort of random tapping using the 4th, 5th and 1st positions of D minor pentatonic, and just keeping my tapping finger on the 17th fret. So I mean, it's entirely up to you really how you do it. I mean, in the song I'm starting off on the 17th fret, and I'm starting off with the same sequence that we open the solo to this song in. So then I move down to 4th position. Then I come back up. So let me just sort of explain as I'm going. So I'm just tapping the notes of 5th position, then moving down to 4. You can like skip over the string. then back up to 5th position, then 1st position, then just sort of move around. There is quite a nice kind of sort of minory 7 sound going on there as well by adding the 5th fret on the B string as well. So you can add in on the 4th position of the pentatonic. If you add in that note as well, that can sound quite cool, you know. So you'll be I mean, that particular lick is tap 17, pull off to fret 8, pull off to fret 5 on the E string, tap 17 on the B, pull off to fret 6 on the B, then pull off to 5, tap 17 on the G, then pull off to 7, and then 5 on the G, and then just tap around there. I mean, you could even break that down even smaller, and you could have 17 on the high E, pull off to 8, pull off to 5, 17, pull off to fret 8, and then 5 on the B string. Then repeat that, but instead of playing fret 8, you play fret 6. So So hopefully there's enough stuff in there so you can kind of get the idea of what's happening. But I'll play just a short section with the wah as well, so you can see how that can flavour what you're doing. Okay, this next part of the solo is actually where the heavy part of the rhythm kicks in. We're going to start this with kind of like a double stop bend, which is just 2 notes, but what I'm doing is I'm playing the 12th fret on the G, and I'm pushing it up, and as I'm doing it at the same time, playing the 13th fret on the B. So when you play them together and you push the 12th fret up on the G string, the kind of dissonance gives it quite a cool sort of aggressive sound. So and when you add the wah in as well, it sounds even more aggressive. Right, following on from that the double stop bend, we've got another lick which is kind of like a blues lick, where I'm going to be bending up the 3rd fret on the E string, on the B string, sorry, and then as I'm doing that, my second finger's ready to kind of play the 12th fret to then let that down to its original pitch. So let me just play that for you so you can hear what that sounds like. And then after the 12th fret has been brought down to its original pitch, then I'll just play the 10th fret on the G string. So let me just play that. The picking for this is actually all downstroke, so there's nothing really too complicated there. So you're just going to repeat that. I think it's 3 times or 4 times. Yeah, 3 times, and then to end the lick off, you're just going to play the 15th fret and bend it up a whole step. Now again, we've come to another part of the solo, which is mainly improvised. So normally what when I play this, it kind of changes every time, but for the performance and for the purposes of the DVD, I've just got a tapping idea which will work quite cool over that. So I'll just play it for you and then I'll break it down. Okay, what I'm doing there is I'm just playing on the B string, 13th fret on the B, then hammer on to 15th fret on the B, 13th fret on the high E, then hammer on fret 17, and then tap fret 20, and then pull off to 17, then to 13, then hammer on 15 on the B, and then pull off to 13 on the B as well. So you've got this. Now, you'll probably notice with my tapping as well that I'm actually still holding the pick and using my middle finger to then sort of like tap away from the guitar. There are different techniques with what to do with the pick. A lot of people kind of tend to just kind of use the old-fashioned Van Halen technique and just sort of like get their first finger and then just put their pick either folded in like your second finger or your third finger. I find that a bit awkward, you know, especially if you want to do any sweeping and tapping and stuff, and you kind of need the pick and a tapping finger all at the same time, and you kind of constantly sort of juggling. It gets a bit difficult. So you know. It's a little less consistent, well, for me anyway, because what I'm doing is when I move to the high E string, I've got a little upstroke in there just to keep the momentum of the lick going. So I've got 13, hammer on 15, then the upstroke on 13 on the high E, hammer on 17, then 20, and then just pull off on the way down. Then you just alternate your tapping finger between the 20th fret and the 22nd fret. So, and your left hand's pretty much doing that same. I mean, if you're not that used to tapping and you want to get used to the lick, then you can literally just break it down. So your left hand is doing pretty much just the lick on its own with that single upstroke on the E string, and then once you get that up to speed and you feel comfortable, then you can start adding the taps in. And then to round off that lick as well, you can do like the kind of Greg Howe style pentatonic lick. So you can start off. I'll just do an example and then I'll explain it for you. So if you tag that onto the end of the other idea, you can kind of, you know, see where this is going, and then I'll break down the lick that I just played. Okay, it was a little different, but it's just kind of improvising it and breaking it down so you can see the kind of things that are going on. So the next lick is just going to be using the first position D minor pentatonic, and again we seem to be doing a lot of tapping around the 17th fret. But I mean, I like to do sort of like tapping things where I move my left hand around, but I kind of keep the notes pretty much the same because it gets that kind of wide intervallic sound which tends to kind of pull the normal punter's ear. So yeah, we're just going to start tapping 17 on the high E string, pull off to 13, then pull off to 10, hammer on 13, then tap 15. So we're going to have and then you just continue down the first position shape. So you'll have you can also have a tap and then bend the last note. So let's see how that sounds. And then you could, and then once you've done the bend, you can bring the 12th fret down again, and then just tap 17, pull off to 12, pull off to 10 on the G, and then you could just hammer on the rest of the position without picking. So you could have. So you could have any number of things like that, but that's kind of the idea of what I'm doing. So if you combine those two licks together, or if you found it more comfortable to keep the momentum going and doing legato on 3 strings is a bit difficult, then you could just keep the continuity going with tapping the 17th fret. So you could have. So you could do something like that. So there's kind of, you know, loads of possibilities. Or the end of that solo, you could then move back into the 5th position, just behind the 1st position. Anything like that is going to work really well over this track. So moving on, after that next bit, it goes back into a pre-thought out part of the solo. I mean, the reason why I've done pre-thought out bits and then improvised bits is just so it's got like a more sort of humanised feel, and it doesn't get too boring to play, because sometimes, you know, if you work stuff out to kind of note, you can feel a bit, I don't know, like you want to do something different, but you can't. So I like to kind of keep it, so I know where I am at certain points in the song, and the rest of it I can just kind of, you know, whittle to my heart's content and get away with it. So the next lick I'll just play up to speed, and then we'll break it down. Okay, hopefully by now, with some of the other tapping techniques that we've used during this solo, this isn't really going to be too much too different. So we're going to go back to the old 5th position of D minor. If you're kind of wondering what I'm going on about, I'll just play it so you can see what 5th position looks like if you're not quite sure. So we're going to start on the 8th fret on the E string and just play 8, 10, then move to A, 8, 10, then move to the D string and play 7, 10, then move to the G string and play 7, 10, and then on the high B and E strings we'll just play exactly the same frets as what we did on the low E and A string. So we'll have. So I'll just play it up and down for you. So we've been using that shape quite a lot anyway, but this time we're moving our tapping finger from the 17th fret to the 12th fret, and we're sort of we're starting on the A string and we're sort of going back on ourselves the whole time. So this is the pattern. Right, so we're going to start on the 12th fret on the E string, then pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then move to the low E string, tap 12, pull off to 10, pull off to 8, then go back to the A string, tap 12, pull off to 10, and then 8. So that's the pattern that you're using throughout the whole of the sequence. So. Then you just start that pattern again using the position shape and the tapped note, and just use the same sequence. So those two sequences together should sound like. And then you just move it to the G string, then move it to the B string, then move it to the high E string. So the whole pattern for you again. Okay, the next part of the solo, we're just going to be, it's like a reoccurring pentatonic lick in D, basically, which is, it can work quite cool in, in other keys as well. If you just if you feel really comfortable with the first position pentatonic scale, which most kind of rock and blues players are, there's like tons of stuff that you could do which kind of jazzes it up a little bit, kicks it into the sort of 21st century a bit more. So the next lick is just going to be tap 17, pull off to 13, pull off to 10 on the high E string, skip over the B, then tap 17 on the G, pull off to 12, and then pull off to 10. Then go back to the B string, tap 17, pull off to 13, pull off to 10, then go back to the G string, tap 17, tap 12, and tap 10, and that's the pattern. So let me just play that for you slow. This lick, in actual fact, features quite a lot in this song. It actually basically is sort of like a turnaround lick to bring it back into the main riff. So in the performance, you'll notice me using that quite a lot. But I've decided to add it in the solo as well because it sounded quite cool on the end of the sequence that we've just done. So, hopefully you can kind of see how I've sort of started joining ideas together to come up with the main solo. Just using a load of kind of, basic ideas really. But, the thing with guitar, you can take a simple kind of pattern and idea, but 9 times out of 10 you'll find that you can just carry on doing that pattern higher and higher up the neck. And if you're using major scale positions or pentatonics or anything like that, if you've got one little pattern that works between a couple of strings, it will normally work on other pairs of strings or other 3 strings or 4 strings or something like that. So, you can just expand on it the whole time. But the lick that I've just explained for you, up to tempo, should sound like this. Again, with this kind of thing, you need to just kind of practice it slow. And, if you're not used to, tapping, just get your left hand used to the actual shape that you're going to be doing. So you'll just... just do like a series of pull-offs, pick the first note and then pull off, pick the first note, pull off, pick the first note, pull off, pick the first note and pull off, and just practice that so your hand gets used to doing the string skip if you've not really encountered anything like that before. And then just add the taps in. So, you could go through the whole of the 5 positions of pentatonic or whatever and just kind of keep that note. And it just sounds, really kind of technical, but there's really not that much going on. It's just literally building your coordination up. Okay, now we're just going to look at the final part of this solo. So after we've done the tapping part, so to tail off that lick, you're going to do a slide from the 10th fret on the G to the 12th fret on the G, and then slide down to the 7th fret on the G. So you're going to have... So that's just the end phrase on its own without the tapping part. Okay, and then the next part is going to go move to the D string. It's going to start on the 7th fret, and you're going to hammer on to the 10th fret. Then do the same on the G string, except after you've played the 10th fret, you pull off to the 9th fret, so you'll have... And then you'll slide from the 9th fret sort of do like a... So you'll slide from the 9th fret to the 7th fret on the G, then pull off to fret 5 on the G, then play the 7th fret on the D string, and then come back to 5 on the G string. So that whole thing again. Then the next part, we've just got this little lick. Which again is another kind of classic blues lick where you're sliding, doing a lot of sliding. So that lick's going to start on fret 7 on the G string, pull off to 5 on the G string. Then you're going to play the 7th fret on the D string and then slide pretty much immediately to the 5th fret with your 3rd finger. So you're going to have, so slide from 5 to 7, 7 to 5 on the D string, and then pull off to the 3rd fret on the D, and then finish up that part of the lick on the 5th fret on the A string. So the whole phrase so far should go. Okay, the next part of the lick will start on the 5th fret on the D string and slide up to the 7th fret. So you'll have, then your 1st finger will play the 5th fret on the G string. So you have, and then you'll hammer on from the 5th fret to the 7th fret. So you'll have, so playing the last part of the last lick that I played you and then including that bit, so you'll have, oh, sorry. I mean, it's entirely up to you how you want to phrase that. Every time I play it, it's slightly different again, so. There's kind of a silent note in there actually, which I didn't realise until playing it just now, where I kind of hammer on the 7th fret of the D, but you don't actually hear it. So it's just kind of like a percussive element of my playing, I think, that just kind of comes out. So you can kind of see my finger going down, but there's no note happening. I think things like that, when it happens with my playing, it just helps timing-wise, I suppose, just to delay a note, just to sort of play it a bit later. Again, just to add a bit more flavour to the phrasing. So the next part of the lick, we've just done... right, so yeah, the next part will start on the 5th fret on the B string, and you've got to do like a quick hammer to the 6th fret back to the 5th fret on the B string. Then you'll hammer on the 7th fret on the G string and pull off to the 5th fret. So you'll have, then you bend up fret 7 up to the sound of fret 9 on the G string, and then you'll have this lick. So you bend up the 7th fret on the G string, then pick the 5th fret on the B string, hammer on the 7th fret, then play the 8th fret on the high E string with your little finger. So you'll have, then your 3rd finger will slide from the 8th fret to the 10th fret on the B string. Then your 1st finger will play the 8th fret on the high E string, and then you'll slide up again. And as you sort of slide from nowhere really, and then you get to the 13th fret and you bend it as soon as you get up there, so you'll be like. And then the last three bits of the lick will just be pushing that up and then playing the 10th fret on the high E. So you'll have, again, another kind of sort of classic blues rock lick. Often used actually by Joe Satriani, that kind of sound, you know, especially when he's got his wire on. you know, that kind of sound. So that lick, just on its, the last part of the lick. So if I play the whole phrase from the end of the tapping part of the solo, just so you can hear the whole thing back to back. Okay, well that concludes looking at the rhythm section and the solo section for Devil's Day. I mean, as you can see through the transcription of my own song, that even when you play your own stuff, you're kind of playing stuff that's different. You're not always playing to the letter. So, I mean, I'm just going to encourage you to kind of take all those ideas from that song and try and incorporate them in your own playing. And also, you know, if you have a go at playing this song or playing along to the performance at the end, try and come up with some of your own ideas. You never know, you might even write something more interesting than what I've done for my own song. So just have fun with it, and you know, hopefully you will have got a load of stuff out of it, especially from a tapping aspect, because that's, you know, one of my favourite techniques, and it crops up a lot in stuff that I do. So have fun with it.